I'm going to talk a little bit with the help of one and maybe two, if they want to join us, students who participate in the project, about the 2024 GO Mensch project. GO is, well, we market it as a summer school, but it is a project of global outreach. Our focus is on global citizenship, which means that we are trying to deal with global problems on a local scale. Sorry, the tram wasn't here for that. And in the last few years, we have focused on climate change as the problem that that we all have to deal with in a way, and that also we have to work together to solve. So this year's focus, after last year, where we focused on the forest as an ecosystem and also as a cultural instance, and 2 years ago, where we focused on the Ahrtal and the flood that happened there 3 years ago. This year, our focus is on the Anthropocene. The Anthropocene being a proposed era of geological time in which the Earth is being shaped by humans to a degree where we want to define the geological age by humanity's influence on the Earth. And also a term that is used in the humanities in different degrees. And so anthros, the Greek for human or man. So we chose the German word Mensch for that as our project title. We had, so basically we are working, we're conducting the project as a short-term mobility, and we host it here at the JGU Mainz. We had students from Aberdeen, Edinburgh and Glasgow on the Scottish side, as well as Galway and Limerick in Ireland, and Riga in Latvia this year as participants. And then also, which doesn't say on the slide, but we also always have participants from Germany as well, who and all of these students work in an international, interdisciplinary way around the topic of the year. This year, our timeline looked, as you can see here in the middle, it looks a bit confusing, but basically the first 2 weeks of June, we offered an optional language course, German language course, for everyone who wanted to maybe refresh their German. Maybe they study German at their home university and they want to brush it up over the long summer that our partner universities have. Or if they've never heard about or learned anything in German, we also had an introductory course. We were very lucky to have 2 former participants of GET or Plus to lead 2 of our language courses, and also to welcome Dr. Sheila Dixon from Glasgow to do the 3rd, which was lovely having everyone here. And lovely seeing this community work together to conduct a project like this. As I said, the language course is optional. So on Monday, the 17th of June, was the first day where all of the participating students came together for the first time, and also the start of our academic week. We spent a week together in Mainz, hearing lectures on campus, and also exploring the city, obviously. And it's lovely. We stayed together at the Don Bosco House, which is a youth, it's not really a hostel, it's more like a conference house for youth. I don't know. It's a really lovely place with a great breakfast and very loud doors. And then for the last week, we divided the group. So 7 students came with me to Ahrweiler to work with a local school there. And the rest stayed in Mainz with my colleague Joyce Timmers, who isn't here today, unfortunately, to do excursions around and in Mainz, all dealing with the Anthropocene. And then we joined the 2 groups together again for the Scot Fest, which was on Friday and Saturday the end of June, where everybody had a chance to present the projects they worked on. So we had the academic part, and then the excursions and time to work on projects surrounding the Anthropocene and climate change as well. And we're going to go into a little bit more detail into this now. This is the overview for our academic week. I'll give you a little bit of time to have a look at it. So we had 8 lectures in total. We started with a more scientific approach to the Anthropocene. Dr. Christoph Helo introduced us to the concept of deep time and how geologists measure time and how the Anthropocene works in that sense, what it means in that sense. And then we were very lucky to have an input by Professor Dr. Ulrich Pöschl as well, who works at the Max Planck Institute for Chemistry here in Mainz, which is where Paul Crutzen, the researcher who coined the term Anthropocene, also worked for a while. So this was brilliant to have him speak about his field of research, which is aerosols, which influence global health and global climate, as well as the history of the term and the research that has been done at the Max Planck Institute for Chemistry. He also talked a little bit about open scholarship, which was interesting for, I think, especially the younger first and second year students to see, to get a little bit more insight into academia and how it works. And then let me switch to this slide now, get some visual inputs on the left. You can see Dr. Helo, who has been doing for the last 3 years now a very interactive approach to teaching. I love it. We go outside and basically we had a timeline of the Earth's age, and the students had to work together to find out which stepstones happened when. So first life on Earth, first cyanobacteria, an accumulation of oxygen in the Earth's atmosphere, and all of these things, which is a very visual, hands-on way of grasping the concept of deep time, which is lovely. And then our third talk of the week, you can see on the right, is Dr. Philipp Pogge von Strandmann, who works in the same department as Dr. Helo in the geoscience department, and his focus is on geoengineering. So as you can see in this wonderfully colorful graph, that is both depressing and interesting. He started off by telling us how doomed we are, and then went into different ideas, concepts, projects that work on reducing emissions, not like into the negative, basically taking CO2 out of the atmosphere to reverse the climate change that we've already done, basically, which is very interesting, and also a good end to the scientific part of it, because then we did a hard pivot to eco art. Dr. Schütze from the Kunsthochschule, from the Art Academy in Mainz, gave us a talk about eco art, which then also influenced 2 of our project groups we're going to talk about later, which is lovely. And we also got a tour through the Kunsthochschule as well. Then, as some of you might have seen, I think second to last, I don't know, 2 or 4 weeks ago, was Leonie Jungen's talk on eco criticism and Once There Were Wolves, which is very interesting, and we all saw in person, and you saw online, as you can see on the left. And then we also had some input from Dr. Pusse from Galway, who wanted to come in person, unfortunately could not come, but gave a very interesting approach to post-anthropocentrism and how our view on nature basically always centers ourselves, which kind of worked hand in hand with something we learned early on in the week, that we are not saving the climate to save the earth, we're saving the climate to save our habitat and to save humanity, which at least for me is the central point of what I've learned, along with a lot of very interesting other facts. And then we ended the academic week with a talk, which was very last minute, but beautifully done by Robert Bednarz from the Scientists for Future, which Leonie is also a part of, who basically introduced us to all the things that we can do and that people already do, and all of the ways in which climate activism can work, which is a very beautiful end of the academic week, I would say. And I think we all learned a lot, even though it was a lot of sitting in rooms. Fortunately, it wasn't as hot then as it is now. So then, for the second week, we split the group, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Mainz group did first. They did a lot of excursions, as you can see. On the right, you can see a picture from the Völklinger Hütte, so the Völklingen Ironworks. They were shut off, I think, in the 80s, but up until then, they basically made stone into iron. And the city was incredibly dirty, and obviously it also had a really big impact on the infrastructure of the region, up until this day, really. A lot of people used to be miners, and nowadays it's a really interesting place to be in, because it looks so of its time, and so it's incredibly impressive. I didn't go this time, but I've been before. And also it's really interesting to see not only what it did back then, but also what it has been turned into, because as I mentioned, it's been shut off, and now they use it for art exhibitions and obviously guided tours about what it did. And they so it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That's what I was trying to say. The Mainz group also went to Frankfurt, to the Senckenberg Nature Museum, obviously, and I guess the big highlight you can see on the bottom was a guided bus tour through the Braunkohlerevier Garzweiler. So if you are not familiar with German geography or politics, basically there is an area in Germany where there are so many coal mines, and you can see them behind the students on the bottom left. They're incredible to see. They're absolutely massive. If you have a look on Google Maps, they're as big as some of the villages around them, and indeed they have swallowed a lot of villages around them. And there are a lot of political issues surrounding those mines, and it's so it was incredibly important for us to go there, and we're very lucky to have found a way to get around there. We had to book a coach because there's literally no way to walk this or go by public transport. But from what I've heard, it was a really great day. It was incredibly warm, but there was AC on the bus, so that was good. Meanwhile, our long-standing partnership with the Gymnasium Kalvarienberg in Ahrweiler continued. I went there with 7 students, and you can see our beautiful accommodation on the bottom left. It looks much more impressive from the outside than it does from the inside, but that is the nunnery Kalvarienberg, which is also the school attached to it. We spent most of our time in the mornings working with the school students on our projects. I always say my students, for the GO students, the university students, it's a great experience to lead a group of younger school students. They're around 16, 17 years old. And for them, obviously, it's a great opportunity to practice their English in a real life setting with native speakers or people who study English. And it's always we have great support from the school. And it's incredible what they achieved in just basically 2.5 days that they had there. We also visited the Dokumentationsstätte Regierungsbunker, which is a museum. They turned a former atomic war government bunker into a museum, and they do guided tours now. The photo you can see on the bottom right is the part of the bunker that has been rebuilt or broken down, basically. So they've kept the tunnel, but they've taken everything out, and this is basically what you see at the end of the museum. The museum has a lot of other old artifacts, and it looks a little bit like it did at the time. But this is what most of those, 17 kilometers of tunnels look now. It's very impressive, and definitely worth a look. And obviously, we spent time in Ahrweiler as well, and in the vineyards. Here's an overview of the projects. So when we talk about the project, it tends to be a little bit hazy what we mean by that. But basically, we want to give the students a chance to work with all of the input that we gave them. And every year we're incredibly amazed by the things that they come up with and the quality of the results. So these are the projects we had in Mainz. You can have a look at this. Moment. So we had a group that created a magazine about sustainability. More or less basic stuff, but it's really hard work publishing a magazine. We were lucky to have one of the, well, I would say leaflet, but it's huge, of Scientists for Future to be inspired by. And the final result is, we also have a big copy, but I couldn't find that just now. Equally impressive, with a lot of information. And again, they put this together. They didn't have a lot of time between all of these excursions. We have articles about green transport, green energy, fast fashion, and also just a point-to-point guide what you can do. And then we also had, I'm really impressed by the amount of work the Translation Bureau has done. We have the magazine in Romanian, German, Latvian, Russian, Arabic, and English, I believe, which is wonderful and makes it more accessible as well, which was the goal of it all. We have a group that dealt with the idea of livable cities and city planning, the integration of nature into cities, that Clara can say a little bit about, I think, in a minute. Oh no, your eco art, sorry. And yeah, so eco art is the next one. Let me, oops. Clara, do you want to say a little bit about your eco art project, how it was working on the project together with the other international and the German students? I just picked this out. I don't know if this is the best representation of your work.
On eco, it was really interesting because we kind of all took different things for each lecture, and then
Sorry, I can't hear it. Can somebody else hear it? It's broken.
Yeah, I'm having trouble as well. I think your connection might be struggling a bit.
Oh, closer
Can
to
you
the
hear me
mic.
now?
Oh, yes, that's
Yeah.
better. Much better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was just saying that I was working on eco art with the other students, and it was really interesting to pick out what we found interesting and maybe less interesting from each lecture and how to place it in the project. So I myself learned a lot from this. I learned about how humans are like how we should associate humans as being a part of nature rather than separate, because um, because rather than it not being kind of our fault, we should associate ourselves with nature. And for example, we put in a QR code of the film Wall-E, which I never knew was about climate before. And we put in a bunch of Spotify codes for like music to do with the climate. And we put in artworks to do with humans being connected to nature. We also put in QR codes of more artworks to do with humans and nature, and a podcast to do with the climate. We were thinking that it's important to inform people about climate change in terms of art, because a lot of people feel comfort in art and they connect and relate to it. So I think art is a good way to inform many people about the climate and the Anthropocene. And so as well, sometimes art can make us feel a bit uncomfortable, which is also important when we talk about the climate, because it's not a very comfortable topic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy the layout as well. It's it looks like it should be green, but I love that it's gray.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it makes so much sense to me, and I love the one in the middle as well with the eye and the lightning.
Yes.
And I also really enjoy how everyone can find what I really like visual stuff, but I know a lot of people who really like auditive input, and so everybody can find something that they enjoy, which is lovely. Then also, please check out the QR code on the bottom right, which leads to the SciComm Go Instagram site. So if you want, you can scan that just now. This is another group which so both in Ahrweiler and in Mainz, they collaborated on creating this Instagram page, which shared a lot of information about that they've learned in the lectures, some graphs and stats, fun facts and not so fun facts, and also just memes and general impressions from the project, which is great. And I believe they're trying to keep up the work and have a few posts scheduled to come out later. So definitely check this out. Then, right. Then in Ahrweiler we had some projects we had twice, because we liked the idea so much that we wanted to implementations of it. The eco art we had twice. I can't reach the poster of the Ahrweiler group just yet now, but it's equally great, and a very similar idea as well. I like the take that the Livable Cities group took. One moment. I don't have the files just yet, but I mean, I have no idea if you can see this. They basically, what they did is real life Photoshop or something, so that they drew in the pictures. Let me find a good example for it. Here we go. Can you spot the difference between the two pictures?
Yeah,
So basically,
I
you can. What's the difference?
On the one hand, you have more concrete than trees along the same street, is it?
Exactly. So they basically added flower beds and basically not concrete where the road used to be, and parking spaces. So this is better in person, I swear, but also for all of those, we are gonna upload the results very soon on our website. So if you're joining, if you're looking at the recording of Reading Scotland, it's only a few clicks away. We also had a magazine in Ahrweiler, the big copy of that one. And I'm always impressed how professional these look. I know that with Canva it's not that difficult to get a coherent design. But again, this has articles on just tips on how to save the planet, public transport, less flying, reduce, reuse, recycle, with a wonderful centerfold of Ahrweiler drone footage. And I don't think David has joined us. So I think I have to just quickly summarize. So I'm going to show a video that the short documentary Winemaking in Times of Climate Change group has done. They've made 2 videos. One of them is still in the works because the audio is a little bit terrible. But the other one is an interview with a local winemaker. We can't see him because he doesn't want to be shown, but we can hear him in German. Again, subtitles are still in the work, but I'm going to summarize what he said in a minute. The video is about 6 minutes long, and if you can hear it, we're just going to watch it in its entirety because we have time.
We can't hear it. We can't hear it.
You can't hear it.
No, you need to switch on probably with Thailand.
But you heard it earlier.
Yes, but
Okay.
for the PowerPoint presentation, you need to basically
I know,
move that
I know.
slide. Perhaps you try again. Yes, it's working.
Wir haben Rebsorten im Ahrtal, die auf ein gewisses Klima angepasst waren oder sind. Und da gibt es eben verschiedene Sachen. Der Klimawandel ist ja an mehreren Faktoren merklich. Und zwar einmal die Durchschnittstemperatur, dann die Maximaltemperatur. Außerdem haben wir Spätfrostgefahr, Niederschlag, Niederschlagsmenge und Häufigkeit. Und das hat sich eben schon immer und in den letzten Jahren eben in eine Richtung entwickelt. Und dadurch müssen wir dann eben reagieren. Die Rebe macht das auf ihre Art und Weise und wir als Winzer, wir kultivieren ja die Rebe, wir können das dann auch nochmal in gewissem Maß.
Wie verändert sich der Geschmack vom Wein? Also verändert sich irgendwie merklich?
Ja, schon. Also zum Beispiel höhere Durchschnittstemperaturen führen eben zu einer milderen Säure. Wir haben höhere Öchslegrade, also mehr Restzucker, also mehr Zuckergehalt in den Trauben. Das heißt mehr potenziellen Alkohol. Das heißt, die Weine werden tendenziell etwas voluminöser und schwerer. Außerdem werden sie natürlich dunkler, weil mehr Sonne heißt auch mehr Anthocyanbildung in den Rotweintrauben, roten Trauben, und dadurch werden die Weine dunkler. Wir haben durch teilweise ausbleibende Niederschläge, zum Beispiel Trockenstress in den Reben, den merkt man dann später gerade beim Weißwein. Da gibt es zum Beispiel untypische Alterungstöne in Jahrgängen wie 2018 und 2020, wo die Rebe eben nicht genug Stoffe bilden konnte, die sie später verstoffwechseln kann durch die Hefen, und dann bilden sich gewisse Töne raus.
Was macht sich der Klimawandel bei dir bei der Arbeit speziell irgendwie bemerkbar?
Also wir haben teilweise Arbeiten, die wir nicht mehr machen oder teilweise Arbeiten, die wir eben zusätzlich machen, die wir früher nicht gemacht haben. Also ein Beispiel ist das Entblättern der Trauben. Also das war, als ich angefangen habe, Weinbau zu machen, war das ganz neu. Man hat es gemacht, damit die Botrytis abtrocknet, also sprich, damit die Trauben abtrocknen, weniger Wasser an den Trauben ist. Dann gab es so ein Jahr wie 2019, da gab es zum ersten Mal richtig massive Sonnenbrandschäden. Das heißt, die Trauben sind tatsächlich am Stock verbrannt. Seitdem entblättert man weniger oder nur noch die Ostseite. Also wir sind schon in kleineren Prozessen auch immer wieder im Wandel, wobei ich sagen muss, dass die Arbeit ansonsten, wenn man jetzt quantitativ die Maßnahmen sich anschaut, gleich geblieben ist.
Also eigentlich ab welchen Temperaturen, also sowohl zu warm als zu kalt, bekommst du mit deinen Reben größere Probleme?
Ein großes Problem ist eigentlich der Niederschlag, der ja gerade jetzt in den Sommermonaten oft ausbleibt. Ich sag mal, alles über 25 Grad ist nicht unbedingt der Rebe zuträglich. Da geht es da wie uns. Natürlich können wir auch bei 35 Grad draußen sein, aber besser geht es uns, wenn es nur 25 sind oder 15. Niedrigtemperaturen, das Reben erfrieren, das gibt es eigentlich nicht mehr. Ich glaube, so Riesling ist bis zu minus 15 Grad, glaube ich, resistent und andere Rebsorten eben anders. Das heißt, wir haben keine Mindesttemperatur oder so, die wir haben müssten. Reben richtig absterben, würde ich sagen, auch eher über 40 Grad, aber da sind wir ja Gott sei Dank noch nicht so oft.
Hat die Flut vor 3 Jahren am Weinbau an der Ahr speziell jetzt etwas stark verändert, oder?
Wir dürfen einige Flächen nicht mehr bepflanzen, das ist ein direkter Einfluss. Ansonsten würde ich sagen, war es vielleicht nochmal so ein Zusatzpunkt nachzudenken, was pflanze ich jetzt, also zum Beispiel die Flächen, die gepflanzt werden dürfen. Ich glaube, wir haben ja, 50 Hektar verloren, von denen dürfen wieder 30 bepflanzt werden oder 40. Die müssen mit neuen Rebsorten bepflanzt werden und da denken jetzt eben viele neu.
Was sind neue Probleme, die durch den Klimawandel bei dir und beim Weinmachen theoretisch auftreten?
Ja, wir haben zum Beispiel den Sonnenbrand, den ich eben schon genannt habe, wo man einfach auf die Beschattung der Trauben achten muss. Wir haben die erhöhte Spätfrostgefahr, die sicherlich früher auch anders war. Also die Häufigkeit ist gestiegen, wir uns gegen schützen müssen. Dann haben wir die Kirschessigfliege, das ist ein Schädling, der ich glaube 2014 das erste Mal aufgetreten ist und auch deswegen bei uns ist, weil die Durchschnittstemperatur gestiegen ist. Außerdem gibt es eben Rebsorten, die kommen besser mit dem Klimawandel klar und dann gibt es Rebsorten, die kommen schlechter damit klar. Wir haben inzwischen bei zu viel Reife Probleme mit dem pH-Wert, dass der zu hoch ist. Dadurch haben wir ein Milieu in der Maische, das bakterielle Veränderungen beeinflusst, also positiv beeinflusst. Das heißt, wir denken über die Säuerung von Maische und auch von Most nach. Und insgesamt glaube ich auch, also wenn man es mal andersrum sieht, dass wir lange auch keine vollen Erträge fahren konnten, was wir jetzt inzwischen machen können. Also wir haben oft die Erntemenge nicht maximal ausnutzen können, weil was weggefault ist oder komplett erfroren ist. Inzwischen ist die Durchschnittstemperatur so hoch, dass wir vor allem auch in in flacheren Lagen auf dem Plateau zum Beispiel Wein anbauen können, was wir früher sicherlich nicht gekonnt haben. Und wir können natürlich inzwischen auch Rebsorten setzen, die früher nicht reif geworden wären. Also Beispiel ist Chardonnay und ein anderes Beispiel, was dagegen spricht, ist jetzt Müller-Thurgau oder Portugieser, die einfach zu früh reif werden oder auch der Frühburgunder.
Auch direkt dann zu den Weinsorten. Welche Weinsorten denkst du haben in Zukunft hier an der Ahr Bestand? Welche werden eventuell komplett wegfallen, weil sie einfach nicht mehr wachsen? Und welche werden vielleicht auch einfach neu dazukommen?
Also das hat jetzt nicht klimawandelbedingt, denke ich, wird der Frühburgunder rausfallen. Da ist es einfach, also wir müssten in so hohe Lagen gehen, da bestehen keine Pflanzrechte also wird schwierig sein, den zu behalten. Dann die ganzen frühreifen Sorten, auch wie Müller-Thurgau zum Beispiel. Und der Rest, es gibt ja schon Pflanzungen von Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot. Das sind Rebsorten, die kommen einfach besser mit weniger Wasser zurecht, beziehungsweise die Traubenschale ist dicker, die Blattstruktur anders, weswegen die besser für wärmere Regionen geeignet sind. Ich kann mir vorstellen, dass da noch mehr kommen wird, aber ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass Spätburgunder und Riesling jemals, also gerade Spätburgunder wird wahrscheinlich nicht von der A verdrängt werden.
Okay. So to summarize all of this is there's a lot of small and some big changes to winemaking in the region caused by climate change. So the biggest two problems for the existing grapes are less rain and hotter summers. Because of more sun and hotter weather, they have sometimes so before they would sometimes remove some leaves so that the grapes can dry better, because that prevents some fungus infections and such. And now they choose not to do that because sometimes the grapes get sun damage, which means that they're either completely unusable or that they develop undesirable flavors later in the wine. The hotter temperatures also cause a bug to live in Germany now that is harmful to the wine. And in regards to the flood, 3 years ago, they have lost a lot of area where they used to grow wine that they now have to replant. So now, and this reminds me of something we learned last year about the forest as well. So if you're replanting a forest, or if you're planting a forest, what are you going to plant? Which kind of trees? So you have to basically look at the climate that you have and the plant that can sustain in that climate. So a few varieties of grapes will probably die out in the region, such as Frühburgunder and Müller-Thurgau, because they just get ripe too early in the year, or burn. And so they like to plant some varieties that can cope with less water and profit of the sun, such as Merlot or Sauvignon Blanc. But what he also said, obviously, is that because it's warmer and wine likes warm weather, they probably have a better and bigger harvest than they used to. So in some ways, it's also for this specific particular area, they profit from climate change in a way as well. I really like the inclusion of wine, obviously, because it's a very local topic to the area, but also because it's agriculture. And even in the academic lectures, especially in the humanities lectures, we heard about agriculture a lot and how we associate fields and farming with a lifestyle that is very connected to nature, when actually it maybe can be, but it inherently is exploitative, because we're using the earth to do something that we profit from, which I think is maybe the headline we could put over it all, and one of the key ideas in the humanities of the Anthropocene. While in the sciences, it's more focused on looking for specific markers that signify human impact on the earth. Okay. Nope. You can see the magazine again, and the eco art poster again. All of the results will be very soon on our website. You can also find last year's and even 2 and 3 years ago's projects on our website, so it's well worth a look. Maybe before we go over to the Q&A, a little teaser for next year. Next year, the 2025 GO project is going to deal with the river, the ecosystem river, der Fluss in German. We're going to have the optional language course again, obviously, and then the last two weeks of June, will be the project weeks for Go Fluss and the Scotfest 2025, a recurring highlight of the year, will be on the 27th and 28th of June next year. So I guess, thank you for your attention. I'm going to leave you with this wonderful or horrifying view, depending on your what you think about it. And if you have any questions, I'm here. Clara's here to answer them. Thank you.